Good evening. It is a scathing report on the actions of the provincial government. Ontario's Auditor General finding the plans for redeveloping Ontario Place were not fair, transparent, or accountable.
And that's just one of the items the AG took issue with in the more than 900-page report that was released today. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has been going through the report and the fallout from it and joins us live with more. Siobhan.
Well, Nathan, I want to show you this thing. It is big. The NDP says in here we find details of a government that just rams through changes, doing whatever it wants, ignoring advice. The government, though, says what we see in this report is proof that it's getting things done.
Delivering her first annual report as Auditor General, Shelley Spence revealed the cost of redeveloping Ontario Place has exploded. The government now on the hook for at least $2.2 billion. A sum 5 times higher than it was 5 years ago. A lot of that's driven by the decision to move the Science Centre to the waterfront. The bill for the relocation
has increased nearly $400 million from the March 2023 business case.
A new build now more expensive than fixing the site at Don Mills in Eglinton. But Spence isn't ready to say Ontarians are getting a bad deal.
We'd really have to look at the Science Centre when it's done and see how it's operating and see how many people are going there.
Spence says the process that landed on Therme Canada to develop the site wasn't fair, transparent, or accountable to everyone involved. Officials in the Premier's office and at Infrastructure Ontario spoke to some bidders, going against their own rules.
We don't know if they helped them with their bids and what was exchanged because it wasn't documented.
I'll let the Auditor General characterize it as she sees fit.
With the minister in charge off sick, the head of Infrastructure Ontario insists the Ontario Place bill is just preliminary.
We continue to work with both the Science Centre and the Ministry of Infrastructure to figure out what those final costs are going to be.
While Spence says her team found no evidence of influence from the Premier in the decision-making process, Liberals want to know what Doug Ford has to gain.
By spending an unknown amount of taxpayer money to let a foreign-owned company, whose ownership is not clear, build a water park on one of Canada's most beautiful lakes.
The auditor finds the province's opioid strategy is woefully out of date. It's lacked proper data tracking, leadership, and goals. Legislation has just passed to close most of the province's supervised drug consumption sites in favor of treatment-focused heart hubs.
Swapping a dirty needle for a clean one is not a pathway out and does not give people hope, and that's what we need to provide.
The report finds that while the Ministry of Health has flagged that shutdowns could mean more deaths, public drug use, and pressure on ERs, it has not come up with a plan to mitigate those risks.
So are you suggesting, as we see rising opioid use in our neighborhoods, in our communities, across Canada, that we should not be acting and responding to that? I vehemently oppose and disagree with you.
The NDP leader thinks the pages and pages of audit tell the story of a government that rams through whatever it wants.
With no consideration for the rules, for accountability, for transparency, and frankly, for what the data and the science is telling them.
The government sees it another way.
I say it speaks to our interest and our motivation to get things done.
The Auditor General says no government has ever spent as much as this one has on advertising, more than $103 million last year. But she also says more than 60% of that does more to boost how progressive Conservatives look than share information about services. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. To Richmond Hill next, where police are searching for 5 suspects after a brazen robbery at a jewelry store inside Hillcrest Mall.
The entire incident captured on video by a bystander who taunted the thieves and then followed them to their getaway vehicle. CTV's Beth McDonnell has more.
Look at these lowlights, bro. Look at these.
As thieves smash glass and steal jewelry at People's.
Let's run away. Let's run away. Come on, you mother. You get a job, you losers.
A man inside Hillcrest Mall filming the robbery decides to run after the suspects.
Well, no weapons were used on the victim in this case. At least 3 of the males were armed with hammers. And you can see they also used a glass punch in order to weaken the structure of the glass in order to get it in.
York Regional Police say around 4 in the afternoon Monday, the culprits entered the store and demanded money. Then they say one suspect assaulted an employee while the others took jewelry, with several witnesses recording the robbery in progress. Once the chase was on, the suspects were filmed jumping in a stolen Nissan Maxima and taking off.
CZEV 102 Nissan Altima SR Black.
This was amazing evidence, and our investigators are love to get any amounts of descriptions. We do want to make sure we're reminding our community that your safety is paramount. The most important thing here is to make sure that you're taking care of you. We would never encourage anyone to be following suspects out.
Call the police.
Police say there were many people in the mall and several witnesses filmed the crime playing out. While there hasn't been a massive increase in this type of incident in York Region, it's not the first time at this mall.
When the holiday season is approaching, nicer items are being put out, and as a result, there's more opportunity for these criminals to come in and to try and get larger hauls. I personally am appalled at the fact that we would be seeing this happen in front of so many people, and it's almost lackadaisical, the speed at which they're going.
In all, there are 5 suspects, including the driver in the getaway Nissan Maxima. Officers are hoping to get more information about it now that the vehicle has been recovered. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
Still ahead, the city takes another crack at capping the number of rideshare vehicles on Toronto streets. Well, coming up, we'll tell you what councillors are being asked to consider.
In Gravenhurst, the big dig-out continues after the area was hit with more than a meter of snow over the weekend. A state of emergency remains in effect. Downed hydro lines are affecting cleanup efforts, and it is estimated crews have removed more than 50 trees since the storm. City staff are asking people from outside the area not to come to check on their cottages, and local residents are still being encouraged to stay home. They're being urged to avoid walking or driving, which may hinder the removal of all the snow, downed trees, and power lines.
It's overwhelming, but we got to make the best of it and help our neighbors. And yesterday we were helping people get unstuck, and it's one of those things. What do you do?
I know there are people in rural areas that are out of power and have been for days, so it's been quite overwhelming for them. But you know what I've been hearing from our community, a lot of people are trying to get out there and help people out and, you know, get gas to people.
There's no way I wanted to sleep in the car overnight. I feel so lucky being so close to Gravenhurst. Imagine that traffic probably extended for 4 or 5 kilometers, and thinking about hiking back to Gravenhurst in 5 kilometers would have been really awkward, I think.
More snow is expected perhaps as early as tomorrow. In the meantime, Highway 11 in Aurelia opened last night at 10 o'clock. The OPP says it took longer than expected because of the amount of snow and ice and the work involved in clearing the lanes. And the snowplows are lined up and ready to go in advance of the first snowfall expected in Toronto tomorrow. 2 to 4 centimeters could fall on Wednesday in the city.
And on that note, let's head outside for a live look at the night sky. There is a chance of early evening flurries, but look at this. Doesn't look like we've got any snow just yet. The snow we've been talking about is set to move in tomorrow morning, enough to prompt Environment Canada to issue a weather advisory. Jessica Smith is here to walk us through it. Jess.
The winter weather is arriving. We're not looking at a dose like they got through areas in cottage country, but it's really our first snow, and that always does something, right, to people. You see that first snow and you get a little bit nervous or excited, depending on how you like your wintry weather. But it is prompting those travel advisories. For now, the bulk of that light flurry activity, it's gone. We get a break overnight, but things change into the day tomorrow. We are blanketed by snow squall watches, warnings, and winter weather travel advisories. Take your time. Winter tires or not, if you're still waiting to get your appointment, just drive according to the road and weather conditions, please and thank you, and give yourself that extra time for the commute. Honestly, right now, temperature-wise, it's not the worst, and we do hold on at a fairly seasonal point as we head into the day tomorrow, but it is going to be windy. It's less the amount of snow for the GTA as it is the wind. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, but we'll switch gears. This time, to check in with Andrea Case. She's continuing to build a toy mountain. Miss Andrea, where are you today?
Hey, Jess, I am in Etobicoke. I'm at the Etobicoke Salvation Army Temple. I'm here with a group of people who are just thrilled to be here. We're going to be talking a lot. We've got 2 different companies tonight that are making donations. We have Jay Douglas, the musician, here also to tell us about his Christmas memories. So much going on. I've got my support animal here. It's a Squishmallow. We need lots of toys for kids of lots of different ages. Erin is here. She's going to tell us what we need at this time of year. But before we go, the Salvation Army Band is here as we build a toy mountain. Take it away, band.
At City Hall today, the issue of just how many rideshare vehicles should be on Toronto roads was once again on the agenda.
The city's already tried to set a cap on the number of rideshares on Toronto streets, but backed down after a legal challenge from Uber. Now they're driving the issue once again. CTV's Natalie Johnson is live tonight with what happens next. Natalie.
I think we're going to go without that.
Well, Nathan, Uber says it's too soon to say whether it will have another court battle on its hands here. It wants to collaborate with the city first moving forward, but it certainly does feel like Groundhog Day here at City Hall with a renewed push to limit the number of rideshare vehicles on the roads. 1 year after council was forced to back down on a hastily imposed rideshare licensing cap in the face of a lawsuit by Uber, it's deja vu on the debate at City Hall.
Their car driving downtown, especially empty, is not good for congestion, is not good for greenhouse gas emission.
City staff today recommending that council clamp down on the number of ride-sharing drivers in Toronto by capping the amount at about 80,000. Staff reporting today that for every 100 vehicles on the road downtown, 14 are private transportation company vehicles, 4 of which are driving empty, waiting for or on their way to a fare.
If you want to address congestion in the city of Toronto, you should take a close look at this industry and not rip out bike lanes. I think, 1 in 7 cars are Uber cars in the city of Toronto, clogging up street, contributing to emissions and congestion.
The administration's attempt to limit licenses last year had to be walked back after Uber decried it as discriminatory and done in bad faith. The rideshare giant today responding, quote, instead of focusing on the issues that matter to Torontonians, Mayor Chow is once again putting affordability, reliability and safety of an important transportation option at risk.
We're going to have less service, you're going to wait longer, you're going to pay more money for that, and at the end of the day, that's not what Torontonians want.
We certainly heard during consultations that people were concerned about a cap impacting fares going up and wait times increasing. We did hear that, and that's why we built in a monitoring program so we can look at fares and we can look at wait times.
Uber accuses the mayor of circling back to the cap that was battered down a year ago without proper process. Last time it was headed to court. Next up this round is council. Now, the mayor has argued that limiting the number of rideshare vehicles on the road would boost wages for existing drivers. City staff saying today that the data have shown that the net median wages for rideshare drivers after expenses, including all time on the platform, is less than $6 an hour. Uber disputes that data. This all comes to City Council in 2 weeks' time. Reporting live at City Hall, I'm Natalie Johnson. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. Councillors are also tackling the issue of e-bikes and scooters on Toronto buses, streetcars, and subways.
Staff had proposed banning lithium battery-powered vehicles due to increasing concerns over fire risks. CTV's Mike Walker has more.
It was an e-bike fire on a subway at Shepherd Young Station on New Year's Eve that sparked concern. Today, the TTC board approving a ban that will prohibit lithium-ion battery e-bikes and e-scooters on TTC vehicles and at stations in the winter months.
Because the batteries are most at risk, when you add in factors such as salt and water, the battery can become corrosive, which increases the fire risk.
The ban will be in place every year from November 15th through to April 15th.
For me, fundamentally, this is a safety issue first.
But questions are being raised over how effective enforcement will be.
We're going to be excluding those who follow the rules, and for those who don't follow the rules, they're going to bring them on anyway.
This after an equity report from the TTC's Chief People and Culture Officer stated e-bikes are readily available and affordable forms of commuting for low-income individuals. And a ban would disproportionately affect low-income and marginalized groups, resulting in lost income, decreased autonomy for gig and delivery workers, plus limit access to essential services.
We asked for an equity report. Are we just going to ignore that report? The equity implications of this proposed ban would be terrible on the most vulnerable people.
Councillor Diane Sachs argued the TTC should adopt the report's recommendation and implement restrictions Metrolinx has in place that requires e-bike batteries to comply with certain safety standards. But that motion was defeated.
People should be able to use the transit system in a consistent fashion.
A compromise echoed by cycling and transit advocates who acknowledge the hazard but call the ban an overreach.
If they were this dangerous, the City of Toronto and even the Government of Canada should be looking at banning these types of vehicles from even getting into the country to begin with.
The executive director of TTC Riders shared this picture of several delivery workers on the subway last night with their e-bikes en route from downtown to Scarborough.
I think it will be harder to do their job, harder for businesses to find e-bike delivery drivers.
But the chair insists all options, including Metrolink's policies, were considered.
And we kept coming back to the same conclusion that they didn't significantly reduce the fire risk.
The TTC says it will focus on public education before enforcement over the next few weeks. The board also calling on the city and parking authority to explore providing storage, battery charging, and exchange facilities near stations. Mike Walker, CTV News.
The ongoing Canada Post strike is having an impact on Canadian charities.
For many, the holiday season is a key time for fundraising campaigns that often rely on mail-in donations. CTV's Sean Leathong has the details.
Lunchtime at Good Shepherd on Queen Street East in Toronto. Abdul Nafiu has been staying here for months as a refugee claimant from Nigeria. He's afraid to return because his sexual orientation is a crime back home.
I can't go back to my country because my life is in danger here.
Abdul is one of over 100 people staying here, a place where more than 900 warm meals are handed out each day to the city's unhoused. There's worry that these services may not last.
Christmas is the largest fundraising season for Good Shepherd Ministries.
Executive Director Akilo Wendeferu says that due to the Canada Post strike, mail-in donations aren't coming, and reminders that they usually send to donors aren't being delivered.
So we can't deliver, neither can we receive anything from our donors and supporters.
He says in December, Good Shepherd usually sees $500,000 in donations, but this year it's up in the air. Across town at Scott Mission, CEO Peter Durasamy says the Canada Post strike has already caused a fundraising shortfall.
Just in the month of November, our donations have dropped by $600,000.
At this time of year, he says families are relying on Scott Mission for food and something to put under the tree, but he says 70% of their donations come via mail.
If this continues, it's going to hit us harder and harder.
So they're urging donors to call or donate online. And while many charities are fearful that this Canada Post strike could cause them to lose donations, some charities are also worried about commitments that they've already made.
It's hard. It's hard to disappoint them.
Tiffany Houston is CEO of Shine Foundation, a charity that makes wishes come true for kids with physical disability, like this adaptive bike recently given to a teenager named Avon, who's quadriplegic.
These are in the tens of thousands of dollars that families cannot afford because it's 4 times more expensive to have a kid with a disability.
She says the strike could force them to delay as many as 12 kids' wishes because what is usually the best time for donations is becoming a struggle. With a major source cut off, some like Abdul Nafiu are growing concerned.
It's a big worry to me, because they really need the supporting hand to keep doing the good work they are doing.
With many charities like the Good Shepherd, Scott Mission, and the Shine Foundation urging donors to go online or call to keep the holidays about giving. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
A Team Canada approach seems to be taking shape following threats of tariffs from incoming U.S. President Donald Trump.
The Prime Minister met with opposition leaders in Ottawa today as officials downplay a comment made by Trump at Friday's dinner with Justin Trudeau. CTV News senior political correspondent Mike LeCouture has the details.
According to one U.S. network, when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau told President-elect Donald Trump that 25% tariffs would, quote, kill the Canadian economy, Trump reportedly responded with this.
Trump joked to him that if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion a year, then maybe Canada should become the 51st state.
That comment was the talk of Parliament Hill today, with a number of ministers trying to minimize it. Public Safety Minister Dominic LeBlanc heard it firsthand.
The president was telling jokes. The president was teasing us. It was, of course, on that issue in no way a serious comment.
LeBlanc says there were also productive discussions on trade and border security. Trump has threatened to hit Canadian goods with 25% tariffs unless we strengthen our border. That was the focus of a meeting between opposition leaders, the Prime Minister, Finance Minister, and LeBlanc this afternoon. They all emerged talking about the damage tariffs could inflict on both the Canadian and American economies.
I told the Prime Minister that, of course, at every opportunity I will make those arguments and make Canada's case on behalf of all Canadians.
Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet says now is not the time for a partisan fight.
Americans are looking at us now. So I will give some time to Mr. Leblanc to provide us with the details of the plan.
Part of that plan is supposed to include bolstering security at our border with the U.S., adding more border agents and RCMP officers.
Yes, there's an increase in uniform presence that we want, but there's also that increase on people that can operate the technology that we're going to get.
Now, the RCMP commissioner wouldn't put a number on how many people he needs to help secure the border, saying he'll leave it to the public safety minister to make that announcement. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
After 2 months of gridlock, MPs are being forced to get back to work, so a series of potentially high-stakes votes can happen before the holiday break. CTV News' Rachel Aiello explains.
Hi. Rallying the party faithful. Today, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh ramped up his election posturing.
I need you to believe, we are going to be running a campaign, not one that's going to be careful and cautious to not offend anybody. We're running a gutsy campaign.
As the only party still propping up the Liberal government, there will be a few chances in the next 2 weeks where the NDP's readiness to send Canadians into that campaign early will be tested. On Monday, Speaker Greg Fergus ruled he will be halting the months-long Conservative-led filibuster that has blocked most House business to allow the 4 remaining opposition days to happen this Thursday and Friday and the following Monday and Tuesday.
In fact, the standing orders require the House to dispose of supply matters by December 10, 2024.
3 of these days will go to the Conservatives, who have consistently used this mechanism to force non-confidence votes and are expected to continue to, even though yesterday
there is not unanimous consent.
They opted to keep the privileged debate on disclosing green tech fund documents alive, instead of advancing another one. The Liberals welcome the Speaker's decision, even if it comes with the risk that the government's confidence will be tested in the days ahead, as it also allows for billions in supplementary spending to come to a vote.
Despite the ridiculous games that the Conservatives have been playing in their attempt to really obstruct the important work of parliamentarians that we do on behalf of Canadians, we are going to get this work done.
The other outstanding opposition day will go to the NDP, who have already said they won't be using it to force a confidence vote, with Singh today accusing the Conservatives of playing games with theirs. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Global Affairs is warning Canadians in South Korea to avoid demonstrations and exercise caution following several hours of political chaos and uncertainty. Protesters tried to block troops from entering Parliament after the president declared martial law late last night. Yoon Suk-yeol vowed to eliminate anti-state forces as he struggles against an opposition he accuses of sympathizing with North Korea. But the military was withdrawn following a bipartisan parliamentary vote that rejected the declaration. The president said the measure was formally lifted around 4:30 this morning, but Yoon continued to criticize his opponents.
In Thailand, a ceremony was held today as part of a series of events to mark the king's 72nd birthday. The monarch presided over a parade, an oath-taking ceremony in Bangkok involving hundreds of military personnel. It was meant to celebrate the discipline and unity of the Royal Thai Armed Forces. The ceremony was initiated during the reign of the current king's father. The monarch's actual birthday is July 28th, but previous ceremonies have been held around December 5th, which was his father's birthday.
Coming up, a surprise visit from a pair of Grey Cup champions. Students in Mississauga get a lesson in hard work and resilience and the opportunity to get their hands on Canadian football history.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, it's been a difficult year for small businesses, and the postal strike is making it worse. This is one of the busiest times of the year for many retailers, and there are calls for the government to intervene to end the strike. I'll have that story. That's just ahead.
And it's been a fairly seasonal start to the week, but things change a little as we head into the day tomorrow and we start to cool right down. And then we're watching for our first measurable snow of the season. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. And stay with us. We have another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
The Canadian Federation of Independent Business says the postal strike is costing small and medium-sized businesses $76 million a day.
It says as of tomorrow, it will cost the sector over $1 billion, and it wants the government to step in to end the strike. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Nathan and Michelle, it's been a difficult year for small businesses. There have been port strikes, rail strikes, airline strikes, and now a postal strike. For many, this is their most profitable time of the year, and there are more calls for the government to intervene. In downtown Orillia, small businesses say they're doing their best to serve customers during the postal strike. Canada Post shipments have been interrupted at this children's toy store, but they've been able to use courier services to keep product moving.
We're used to having to pivot now, and so when you encounter a challenge, you sort of just change directions.
This clothing boutique says fortunately foot traffic into the store has been busy. It uses courier services to deliver products if needed.
If you were expecting packages for your holiday season, then that would be a little bit difficult and you would have to pivot, and hopefully UPS or Purolator or something would come into play there.
Many small companies rely on the holiday shopping season for a large percentage of their annual sales. Equifax Canada says many small businesses have taken on additional debt, especially newer companies. It says the postal strike couldn't have come at a worse time.
Small businesses have been impacted by labor disputes all across Canada this year in every single way you can think. There's been port strikes, rail strikes, airline strikes.
The Canadian Federation of Independent Business says as of December 4th, the postal strike will have cost small and medium-sized businesses $1 billion in lost revenue. It's calling for the federal government to step in and stop the strike.
These strike actions are not insignificant. They have impacts to the broader economy. They have impacts on other Canadians.
The Canadian Chamber of Commerce says its members agree and feel the government should intervene, saying the strike has dragged on too long at a crucial time of year.
We have to ask the government to take this seriously and make sure that we get to a resolution. And that means, if that means intervention, I mean, we can't let this go on much longer and let Canadians and small Canadian businesses continue to pay the price.
Some small businesses worry if they can't deliver product in time for the holidays, consumers will turn to companies like Amazon, which uses its own delivery services. And the Retail Council of Canada also said today the federal government should intervene and stop the postal strike. It says the job action is making it difficult for many retailers to stay in business. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, it is December, the holiday season, and we're going to get some snow.
A little dusting of snow. You know, I remember vividly last year, we really didn't get snow until the New Year's, so this is a little bit more typical December.
It is, and last year was one of the warmest winters on record across the country, so we're starting things off a little more on the nose this year. But it isn't going to be a major snow event for us, but I feel like anytime we have that first snow of the season, folks always get a little bit anxious, and rightly so. It's our first time driving in the snow again. This is your gentle reminder to top up your windshield wiper fluid, and if you don't have those winter tires, to make that appointment. But even if you have those tires, you still have to drive according to the road and weather conditions. It's been not a bad day. We've seen a little sunshine throughout the morning, a little cloud cover holding on right now. You can see that kind of leading edge of that cloud cover. That's the beginning of it. We're watching for those flurries, those squalls to start to move in as we head through the overnight and into the day tomorrow. Again, for us here in the city, it's not so much the amount of snow. We're looking at 2 to 5 centimeters, maybe a little more in some areas, but it's the wind that is going to be the bigger challenge as we head throughout the day with those gusts out of the southwest, which are typically warmer, keeping us on the positive side, but really windy, so blowing all that snow around. Right now, though, -2, it feels like -6, anywhere kind of south of North Bay, holding on at a relatively seasonal point. North of that, they've already plunged into some much colder air. As we head in towards this evening, we'll sit at -2. We're not too far off the seasonal average. You Usually we're around -4 this time of year. Just a hint of a wind chill, but those wind chill values are getting cooler and cooler as we step into the month of December. It is the holiday season after all. Into the day tomorrow, +1. Again, the wind chill is a bit of a factor, but it's the wind in addition to the flurries that are making their way through. We're looking at periods of snow off and on throughout the day thanks to an Alberta Clipper system that's making its way in. It's already started in northern Ontario, and it is prompting winter weather travel advisories for us here in the city and across the GTA. We still got snow squall watches and warnings, and some of those areas are looking at another dumping of snow in cottage country, and they've already seen that wallop over last weekend. Now, as we head throughout the rest of our day today, that leftover trough that brought just a few light flurries in southern Ontario today, it's gone, but that system will move its way in, and it's quite wide sweeping because it goes from northern Ontario right down to the south. So as we head throughout the rest of our evening, again, just some cloud cover out there. Tonight is not too bad. The bulk of this for at least the GTA begins kind of in the morning. Heavier snow again along those eastern shorelines of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. For us, it's a lighter dusting to start the day. We get a bit of a break late morning, and then we watch for this to kind of roll in more intensely as we head through the afternoon and early evening. So just in time for that evening commute for a lot of people. Give yourself that extra time on the roads and always drive according to the road and weather conditions. Into our Thursday, still watching for the chance of some light flurries, but overall the bulk of this system is going to be on Wednesday. So keep that in mind. Plan ahead when it comes to your travel if you can. As we head into the day tomorrow, temperature-wise, it's really not that far off that seasonal mark, but it's going to be super windy out there. We head into Thursday, the bulk of that snow is going to be gone, but we're still watching for the odd chance of some light flurries. A little sunshine for your Friday, but it is going to be cool as that cloud cover lifts. As we head in towards the weekend, still watching for the chance of some passing flurries, and then we flip the script. We go back to positive temperatures and rain as we head in towards next week. So the snow that we do have as it comes into play tomorrow will melt away, and then we start to see things cool down once again. So we get a little bit of everything. We'll switch gears and check back in with Miss Andrea Case at the Etobicoke Temple as we continue to build a big old toy mountain. Andrea, how's it going?
Hi, Jess. Everything here is great. We are here with Robert, who is from the temple here. And Robert, you're here with Dana, and Dana is not going to speak, but Dana can just say, she can do a quick wave to everybody there. How important is this? Like, we're getting close to Christmas now, and what people don't understand is that you have a lot of people who are looking for help. So tell us what the need is here in Etobicoke.
Well, for this section of Etobicoke, we already have over 400 families registered. That accounts for almost 800 children.
Wow. And so what is the need? What do you need, people? You can look down that camera and tell people what you're looking for right now.
Right now, the greatest needs we have in Etobicoke are for people to help volunteer. If you're able to volunteer, especially on our Christmas kettles, in the local stores and malls, we would certainly greatly appreciate you calling us and letting us know your availability. We're doing some toy packing, things of that nature, so always looking for some volunteer support. So anytime we can get volunteers, it's greatly needed.
Oh, that's good to know. Erin is with us now. Erin, we've spoken to you quite a bit over the last little while. What's your favorite Christmas memory, Erin?
Oh, goodness. My favorite Christmas memory, I think we have a tradition in our family that just the four of us, my mom, my dad, my brother, and I, we spend Christmas morning together, having a nice breakfast, and it's really that quality time together. So, for many families across the GTA, your help supports, bringing that quality time to them. So thank you.
Okay, so we have some donations today. We have from Etobicoke Family Chiro, we have our chiropractor here who is Tony. Yep. And Tony, people sometimes give chiropractors a bad rap, but you're here to tell us that, if you have an ache or a pain, you should consider going to a chiropractor. Why do you help here at the Salvation Army?
Well, my mission is to help our community be healthier through chiropractic, but for those who can't get to us, our clinic's done a lot to try to help the local community. So for the last 14 years since I've been in Toronto, our patients have been very, very generous in donating their time, gifts, money, and food to the Salvation Army.
And real quick, we have Andrew here from Court Fitness. So Andrew is a new business owner. He's a personal trainer, but now you've opened your own business. And so you've decided with this new business, you want to help out Toy Mountain. Why is that?
Absolutely. Toy Mountain is such a great cause. More importantly, it's so important to give back to the community. And we're a little gym with a big heart, and this is our first year being a part of Toy Mountain, and that's something that we're going to continue to do over the years.
Okay, and you want to make a donation?
Yes, absolutely. So our community is going to donate $2,000 to Toy Mountain, and we're very proud. We're very proud to be here. Thank you so much for everything.
I'm going to hand this over to Aaron because otherwise it might not make it to Salvation Army. We've got Jay Douglas here. We're going to be talking to Jay in our next segment. Jay, just do a quick wave and then we'll be talking to you later on.
Right on.
Right on, right on. Okay, we'll send it back to the studio.
See you soon, Jay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for those wonderful donations.
One love.
Also tonight, it's being touted as the largest investment in disability in Canadian history, a $30 million gift to improve lives in our communities. How some of that donation is going to be spent just ahead.
A massive $30 million gift is going out to 11 organizations that support people with disabilities across the country.
As our health reporter Pauline Chan tells us, the gift is from the Slate Family Foundation, and it marks the International Day of Persons with Disabilities.
The technique may be different from other players, but the joy is the same for a child scoring a goal using the innovative brain-computer interface being pioneered at Holland Bloorview. And with a $10.5 million boost from the Slate Family Foundation, the Kids Rehab Center plans to help more children live fuller lives.
That'll certainly help with financial support for those especially in marginalized communities. That could be anything from transportation to equipment to pro bono legal advice.
Taylor Lindsay Noel was paralyzed in a terrible gymnastics accident in 2008. She'd like to see some of the money go to specialized physician training.
There's about 850,000 kids in Canada living with a disability, but we only have about 150 developmental pediatricians, so the need is definitely there for that training.
Another $10 million is going to the Rick Hansen Foundation, and Hansen has already earmarked some of the funds.
It's an accessibility training and accreditation program for the built environment targeted to architects, engineers, city planners, developers, owners of buildings, regulators, and advocates. And we want them to have the same level of competency about how to build buildings that work for people with multiple levels of disability.
Zach Priest works at Holland Bloorview, and he and his daughter have both been clients.
Going into your early 20s, wanting to move out, wanting to, hang out with your friends. And for a lot of kids with disabilities, that's not really even something on their mind. There are so many different things on their plate, and with logistics and funding, and the housing wait list for accessible housing is close to 16 years long.
He says the 5-year grant will help young clients find independence and success. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Kendrick Lamar is going on tour, and he's stopping right here in the hometown of his rap rival.
The little ideas I told made people go rogue until God did me a big one.
The rapper, who is in a bitter feud with Drake, says the Grand National Tour will hit 19 stadiums across North America starting in the spring. Toronto is the only Canadian date. Lamar and co-headliner SZA will play Rogers Centre June 12th. Tickets go on sale to the general public on Friday.
Well, it's official. Billboard has named Beyoncé as the greatest pop star of the 21st century so far. Beyoncé is the most Grammy-winning artist with 32 wins and recently earned 11 more nods for her 2024 album, Cowboy Carter. Since the summer, Billboard has been ranking staff picks for the top 25 pop artists of the last 25 years. Last week, Taylor Swift was announced as the #2 pick, while Rihanna claimed the 3rd spot.
Still to come, a special visit for students at a Mississauga school. Members of the Grey Cup winning Toronto Argos showed up and showed out. The students' reactions just ahead.
It's increased nearly $400 million from the March 2023 business case.
Updating our top stories, the Ontario Place redevelopment is just one of the issues Ontario's Auditor General is shining a spotlight on in a new more than 900-page report. The report also highlights major issues with government advertising budgets and the province's opioid strategy.
Run away! Run away! Come on, you mother... You... Get a job, you losers!
York Regional Police are searching for 5 suspects after a dramatic jewelry store robbery in Richmond Hill. The entire incident recorded by a bystander. who followed the suspects as they left the mall and headed to a waiting vehicle.
Have less service, you're going to wait longer, you're going to pay more money for that.
And City Hall is going to take another stab at setting limits on the number of rideshare vehicles that are on Toronto streets. Officials tried to cap the number of licenses last year, but faced a legal challenge from rideshare car companies.
And remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know. On the markets, the dollar dropped just over 1/10 of a cent to finish just above $71 U.S. Oil rose nearly 40 cents to end the day at $55.75 a barrel. And the TSX rose by more than 45 points, closing above 25,635 points.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
The Toronto Raptors continue a 7-game homestand tonight, looking to keep their momentum going.
And this East just keeps getting more and more interesting.
The Raps defeated Miami 119-116 on Sunday, their third straight win at Scotiabank Arena. They are 5-4 at home. This evening, Toronto hosts Pascal Siakam and the Pacers. Indiana has lost 2 straight.
Thomas Hickey. And now Matthews. He scores! Austin Matthews! Right down Broadway.
Austin Matthews scored his first goal since returning from injury. The Leafs defeated Chicago 4-1 last night. John Tavares, Fraser Minton, and Matthew Nyes also tallied. Toronto hosts Nashville tomorrow night.
The Grey Cup and 2 members of the team that won it made a surprise appearance at a Mississauga school today.
For young fans, it was a chance to see the trophy up close and learn from the players. CTV's Rahim Ladani was there.
It's hard to contain the excitement when 2 Grey Cup champions walk through the door. Toronto Argonauts Davaris Daniels and Nick Arbuckle surprising Castlebridge Public School in Mississauga. The students eagerly listening to their every word.
I want everybody to practice good self-talk right now. Point to yourself and say, I am a champion. Ready? I'm a champion. I work hard. I work hard.
Along with signing autographs and showing off their shiny new piece of hardware, the players also brought with them a message of hard work and resilience.
They all want to be successful. I know Castlebridge does a good job of instilling that in their mindset. So just wanted to come here and give them a little bit of a boost to, work together, strive for greatness.
That boost appears to have worked, with students excited to share what this special visit means to them.
You should always believe yourself as a champion. I learned that to always believe in myself and that tell myself that I'm always good enough. Sportsmanship is really important, that anyone can follow their dreams.
This is also a unique experience for staff who know how much of a positive influence athletes can have.
When they see people who have achieved things that they might be trying to attain, this is such an important message. It just shows them that dreaming is believing.
Put one foot in front of the other and make every day count.
Just like the Argos made their season count, winning the 19th Grey Cup in franchise history, now passing on those same values to the younger generation.
What he told us and work as a team. Always to work together, never give up, always follow on your dreams.
A winning mentality, both in and out of the classroom. Rahim Ladani, CTV News.
I'm Andrea Case here with John. Toy Mountain is far from over, but you have a message to the folks at home.
Absolutely. We're grateful to our donors, CTV, and of course the Toronto area Ford dealers. 15-year anniversary today. Thanks so much. For more information about the Salvation Army, to make a donation, visit salvationarmy.ca.
And you can also go to toymountain.ca at bellmedia.ca. So toy.mountain at bellmedia.ca. There you go. And you can send in your pictures as you're raising a mountain of toys.
Merry Christmas.
Today is Giving Tuesday, and one place you can give this holiday season is CTV's Toy Mountain.
Let's go live to Andrea Case for one last check on tonight's campaign stop in Etobicoke. Andrea.
Hey guys, yes, I'm here with Steve from Woodbridge GTA Climate Care, and you're here with Dominic, and you've got a check presentation for us.
Yes, Andrea, thanks for having us. We're a second-generation family-owned GTA Climate Care, servicing the good people of Etobicoke for all their furnace needs, but We're part of Toy Mountain this year. We've got a check donation for $1,186 to give to you today.
Wow.
It's a big check. Erin's actually got the real check in her pocket right now, and we also have some toys that we brought with us. We've got a toy bin in our lobby, so please, if you're around 285 Jevelin and Woodbridge, drop in and we're glad to see you.
Okay, so we've been, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We've got Jay Douglas here, musician extraordinaire. You've got a documentary that's coming out about you at Hot Docs, but you're here to make a donation also.
Yes, a donation to Toy Mountain, and it's a game puzzle for the young ones. And also, thanks for asking about my documentary. It's premiered tomorrow night at the Hot Doc Cinema.
Okay. Well, Jay, we want to thank you for coming. You've been a musician for many, many years in Canada. We're going to let the band play us out. And everybody, thanks for helping us build a Toy Mountain. We'll see you tomorrow. Take it away.
Thanks, everyone. And hopefully, well, we'll keep you in suspense, but hopefully we'll be able to show you later how you donate.
Yes.
Let's get to weather. There's little snowflakes in that graphic because guess what? It's coming.
Listen, it's on brand. It's on theme. It is December. I feel like it's been so warm. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's going to snow. But y'all, it is December. We're looking at a few flurries as we make our way through the overnight. Periods of snow off and on throughout the day tomorrow, and really our first measurable snow of the season. Nothing like our friends in cottage country, but it's still something to note. We've seen a few streamers off of Lake Huron and Georgian Bay late this afternoon, but we get just cloud cover tonight. We're looking at -2 right now, feeling like -6, and into the day tomorrow. We mark the middle of the week with a little flurry activity, 2 to 4 centimeters, but the wind is going to be the bigger issue. Take your time, drive according to the road and weather conditions, and we'll all get through our Wednesday just fine.
Thank you so much, Jess. We'll have more on the snow tomorrow, but that's it for us for now. You can join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Alman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jess Smith and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching. Have a great night.